All right, let's dive into one of the biggest military stories of our time, the absolutely incredible transformation of China's Navy. A fascinating new report breaks down how a fleet that once just hugged the coast is being turned into a genuine global superpower. So, let's get into it.
So, what's the core of this story? It's this massive shift. You see, for decades, China's Navy was what you'd call a brown water force. That means it stuck close to home, pretty much just for defense. But that's not the reality anymore. Now the ambition is all about becoming a blue water navy, a force that can project its power across any ocean on the planet.
So, what exactly is a blue water navy? Well, think of it as the big leagues of naval power. It means you've got the ships, the supplies, and the reach to operate anywhere in the world, thousands of miles from your own ports. It's way more than just having a lot of ships. It's about having a true global presence.
To really wrap your head around this ambition, you first have to look at the hardware. And this is where the story gets really wild, because it's a tale of both just staggering numbers and some seriously advanced technology. Check this out. As of 2023, the Chinese Navy fields over 370 ships. Now, to put that in perspective, that officially makes it the largest navy in the world by sheer number of ships, a title it actually just recently took from the US Navy. And here's the thing, this growth isn't even close to slowing down. The report projects that the fleet is on track to hit nearly 400 ships by 2025, and it could push all the way to 435 by 2030. This is a sustained breakneck expansion, really on a scale we haven't seen in a very, very long time.
But, it's not just about the numbers. It's also about a massive leap forward in quality and capability. The development of modern aircraft carriers, like the Liaoning, the Shandong, and the brand new Fujian, is probably the clearest signal you can get of China's blue water intentions.
And those carriers are just the beginning, really. The fleet now has some of the most advanced warships you can find anywhere, like the Type 055 cruisers. Some analysts actually think these are the most powerful surface ships in the world. And then you add in advanced nuclear subs and these game-changing weapons like the DF-26 missile, the so-called carrier killer, which is designed for one thing, to take out an opponent's most powerful ships.
So you look at all this incredible growth, all this amazing new tech, and it's really easy to ask the question, is a future where China rules the waves just inevitable? Well, according to this report, the answer is a lot more complicated than a simple yes or no. Because for all of its shiny, impressive hardware, the Chinese Navy faces some massive and often totally overlooked hurdles on its path to becoming a truly global blue water force. And these challenges are huge. For one, there's geography. China is basically hemmed in by what's called the first island chain, all those islands from Japan down through the Philippines that block easy access to the open Pacific. Then there's logistics. A global navy needs global bases, right? Well, China has exactly one. And on top of that, there are still gaps in tech and experience. Their submarines, for example, are reportedly still pretty loud, and the Navy as a whole just doesn't have the decades of modern combat experience that other world powers do.
And here's a perfect example of a huge vulnerability. An incredible 75% of all of China's imported oil has to pass through one single narrow shipping lane, the Malacca Strait. In any kind of conflict, that choke point could be easily shut down, which would choke off the energy that fuels China's entire economy. It's a massive Achilles heel.
The report also points out this big gap between perception and reality. We all see these impressive new aircraft carriers and just assume they're equal to their American counterparts. But the reality is, a carrier like the Shandong can maybe generate about 60 flights a day, and only for a short time. That is a tiny fraction of the kind of sustained air power a U.S. carrier can put up. So the key takeaway here is that the hardware looks great, but the know-how to use it to its full potential is still a work in progress.
Okay, so why does any of this matter to the rest of the world? Well, because this naval buildup isn't happening in a vacuum. It is fundamentally changing the strategic math for countries all over the globe, especially in the Indo-Pacific.
The most obvious impact is right in the South China Sea, where China is using its growing naval muscle to enforce its massive and very hotly disputed territorial claims. And this puts it on a collision course with its neighbors, like Vietnam and the Philippines, over everything from fishing rights to strategic shipping lanes and potential oil reserves.
So, naturally, this kind of expansion is forcing a major strategic rethink for the United States and its allies in the region, countries like Japan, Australia, and India. It's sparking what a lot of people are now calling a new arms race in Asia, as all these other nations scramble to counter China's growing military might.
And just to really hammer home the scale, the challenge they're facing, get this. According to the report, China's industrial shipbuilding capacity is estimated to be over 200 times greater than that of the United States. Let that sink in. 200 times. That is an industrial advantage that is just incredibly difficult to compete with.
So where does that leave us? What we're looking at is a fleet that's in flux. It's incredibly powerful and getting bigger by the day, but it's also facing some very real, very serious limitations on its road to global power.
The report's own conclusion really sums it up perfectly. It says that full ocean-spanning capabilities are unlikely before 2040 because of these major limitations. So the takeaway is pretty clear. Is China's Navy powerful? Absolutely. Is it globally dominant? Not yet. The road ahead for them is clear, but it is long. First, the goal is to achieve total dominance in their own backyard, probably by around 2030. After that, they have to close those critical technology gaps, build a global network of bases and supply lines, and master the incredibly difficult art of operating multiple aircraft carriers at once. And believe me, none of those things are easy to do.
And all of this leaves us with the final critical question. We're watching one of the most significant naval buildups in modern history unfold right before our eyes. But will it end with a force that truly rules the waves? Or will China's Navy ultimately find itself anchored by its own geographic, logistical, and operational limits? Only time will tell, but the next 2 decades are going to be fascinating to watch.